Welcome to our show, Purpose Meets Prosperity. I'm your host, 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞. I help ambitious professionals to realize their higher purpose so that they can live a more fulfilling life. I'm going to be interviewing different people who have followed their intuition down a path that others may have questioned or who thought it wouldn't work out for them. But it felt right to them. It felt like their purpose. It felt like their calling, and they kept at it, kept going towards it. And in doing so, it led to a path of prosperity. And prosperity to me is not just wealth in the terms of finances, but it's also joy. It's also love. It's abundance in all forms. So as we follow the path of purpose, that is the path to prosperity. The guests that I'm going to be interviewing, they are exhibiting that kind of life. So I want them to share some of the tips and things that kept them going down this path and also help them to turn their pain into their purpose. So the challenges, the struggles, the obstacles, they were able to allow that to propel them further towards their purpose, which led to this path of prosperity. If you enjoyed today's interview, please share it with people who you think could also benefit from watching it. And if you or someone you know would like to be a guest on our show, please fill out the application below. I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Welcome to our show where purpose meets prosperity. I'm your host, 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞, and I help ambitious professionals to realize their higher purpose so that they can live a more fulfilling life. Today we have a special guest, Pauline Duncan, here joining us. Welcome, Pauline.
Hi, Julie. Hi, everyone.
Yay. I'm so happy that Pauline agreed to do the show with us today. Pauline is one of my long-term coaching clients, and I've actually learned a lot from her and the way that she lives her life and the trust that she has shown throughout her life. She is a homeschooling mom of 3. And as we were working together through coaching, she was traveling across Australia in an RV, and I got to see her living her best life. And some days were harder than others on the road. And it was a really fun way for me to get to connect with her and to learn more about how she really trusts her intuition and follows her intuition above all else. And that's really the story I wanted to have her share today, is how to live that life of faith and trust and to go where you're guided to go. And it's exactly what I've witnessed in Pauline. So I wanted her to talk more about that today. Pauline, can you start by sharing with us how you decided? I know you left your 22-year marriage. And what was that like, coming to that decision? And then how did you move on from that decision? What happened after you decided to do that?
Well, decided that I'd had enough, I guess, of feeling completely lost and alone and isolated and not supported. And I felt like I was living a lie, and I wanted to be a positive parent, which I was trying to be. But I think looking back, I was to some degree, but I think it still made an impact on my kids and others around me, thinking that I wasn't positive, I guess, but I felt that I was doing as positive and hiding behind the walls of all the anguish that I felt and heartbroken of a relationship you thought you had, that you weren't on the same page. And then things were getting a bit uncomfortable and a bit heavy. And I go, this is not what I want for my children. And I'd grown up with the beliefs of stick to your marriage forever. You can't break the marriage and all that. And I was not having any income because I stayed home mum. What am I going to do if I do this? And eventually I just left it to the universe and said, help me to make it a smooth transition, because things were getting very intense and I didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do. So I trusted in the universe and said, okay, I'll leave it in your hands to create the situation, rather than me saying I'm going or things getting worse. And so that's what led to, and that probably took a 2-year process, because I also know I needed some inner strength to find that, to be able to go on to do this on my own. I'm always a very strong, independent person, but I was quite broken and I had to do things and believe that I can do things and get back into that, start building that mindset, start taking care of myself a little bit more, etc. I had 3 babies, 3 young children under 5 at the time, and trying to work out what the right balance was for everybody as well. So that's kind of where I led from that to then him coming home one day and saying, because we're having another heated discussion, which I always had said, don't do that in front of the children. And he asked for a divorce, and I said yes. But there's a lot to the story, how that got there and the things that was happening behind my back and continued to go on behind my back. That was my way out. So from that, I took the actions already. I already had set up private I bought a laptop prior to that, and I'd set up a lot of private things so that he couldn't access stuff that I had. And that just led me down that pathway of, I guess I call that freedom. It was my first step out into being on my own with the 3 kids and moving across the major cities so that we're still close to Dad, but we were a little bit further away. And then that, snowballed from there.
And how did the universe show up for you and provide for you after making that decision?
Well, when I made that decision, it would have even been 12 months or so, 2 years prior. And then things fall into place. Like I happened to just walk into our government funding and I said, do certain things, and they were able to guide me and where I was going to get income from, for example. And I had no idea of that. Somebody else was in another service, was able to come and just talk to me to keep me strong in my decisions and help me keep moving forward. It was meant to be for both of us to solve our relationship, but in the end, just saw that there's no going back. And see, I believe to try everything, so I tried that too. I had a family member who helped look for housing for us and was able to tap me in the right direction, so that, because at that time, my brain, you think you're functioning, but you're actually not. You're in, I guess, a state of, you're delirious. Really, your mind's not thinking straight, and it's overwhelmed and exhausted and heartbroken and terrified and everything like that. So she was able to direct me there. So then I led that pathway to then finding our house to move to. We just saw little bits like that. Even a coach that was there for my fitness, he wasn't so supportive of me in making this decision because he had been through some messy relationships. And I said, I have to go. I can't stay here anymore. It was destroying me completely, which means it's going to destroy my children even more than it already had. But he was there because he was the positive thinking person. I can do things. So that kept in my head that I can do this, no matter how terrified and the unknown was, because I didn't have any support. I was always a person, no one knew what was going on in our relationship. So people were surprised when this happened, but they also went there when it happened. So I was on my own totally, the whole process. And for me, I'm fortunate that I had the belief and the trust in myself and in the universe that we'd be okay and that we'd be looked after. And I had family members like my mum who had already passed. And so I just trusted that we'll be taken care of. So yeah, it was difficult because we also, at the time when we were about to move the house, my sister-in-law got killed the day that I was meant to move. And my family, that was going to help us move, didn't. So my children and I crossed the city, which is a long way, 16 loads of stuff to empty our house in the process of losing their auntie to my sister-in-law suddenly. So there was a lot there's a lot that went on at the time that was really difficult, but I just kept trusting that we'll be okay and we need to get out of this environment. We cannot stay in this any longer. So for anyone that watches this video, I would just say, keep going. You just trust that feeling that you know it's the thing you have to do no matter how terrified you are and heartbroken and you're at a loss because you thought you had something that was going to last forever. I was brought up, you have a loving family, you get married, you have a loving family, and of course you don't think it's going to happen to you either. You think you know the person very well, or things change, or you change, because I did a lot of already work on myself of healing from my past experiences. So I was at a very different level spiritually and emotionally than where I was when I chose him to be my partner. And I guess that's sometimes what happens too. One person's growing and healing and the other one's still in the space, and you attract the person for a reason, as a lesson. That's how I look at it. But it doesn't make it any easier when you're going through that process of pain and loss and fear. And then, but now I've broken out from that and I choose life the way I live life now. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I love the way you talk about, and when some people will question our decision, about divorce or leaving and telling you to stay, or really projecting their own judgments around divorce and relationships completing. And I love the way that you trusted yourself and your intuition, because that can be really hard when others say you should just stay or you should forgive them. But when you know in your heart that it's over and it's not best for your family, that is an act of courage, and that is an act of bravery to take that leap of faith and trust. And what have you found in your life that has happened and unfolded because you decided to make that bold decision? How is your life better now?
Wow, I live life much happier. I can choose to do, if it feels good, I do it. And if it doesn't, I ain't doing it. Unless it's something you have to do, like certain things like, you have to go do the food shopping, or you have to do things with whatever. But generally, then I can make that fun too. So I tend to like to try to live with a sense of it feels good, it's fun, or make it fun, or know that this has got to be done, but gee, I can go and do that afterwards, or do the fun thing first and then go do the other thing that you have to do. Because life, we do have responsibilities. So I live my life that way, and look, and if it doesn't feel right, I don't do it. If it's a major decision or whatever, I don't make a decision until I know it's right. Because, yeah, even in my marriage, I was going to, on the wedding day, I was actually going to leave then. That was way like 10 years into the relationship, and I never did it. And I wouldn't have my children, yes, but they and me wouldn't have had to go through all the stuff that we went through. So this wasn't again. So I now don't do that. If I really feel those feelings, I have to act on them, because that's my self telling me what I need to do. So that's really how it really changed me. I know I've got freedom of choice. And then for us, the decisions that I've made now are in the best interest of myself and my children. Well, they always were, but, I guess it's more empowering and different because I'm a different person. And even the things, I'm unpacking boxes from moving again just now, and I look at the stuff and go, oh, my feeling and my emotions have changed dramatically around those objects or those situations or those experiences, that object. It's like I'm a very changed person. And now, yeah, I feel like I live life by choice and freedom that feels right to me. That's probably my main thing. But then I also got to live out a dream. I manifest a lot all the time. Like, yes, I'm still on a pension, but I'm also running my business, and it's flourishing and it's growing because I'm trusting where I'm being led to that. But anytime I'm in need, I can manifest what we need. Before, it was always the other people's and my own, well, because I created that too, because I was in that headspace. But all that negativity towards, like we're talking money or circumstance or opportunities, now I embrace it and I trust that it's all going to be okay, and things come. Back then, they didn't come because I was in that negative feeling, mindset, emotional around everything. Back then, before I had left, I'm sitting at night really upset, journaling, going, what am I going to do? And I saw an ad for a place which I am now living at, is called Hervey Bay in Queensland. And I said, that's where I want to go. Don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to get there. And it was because it had whales, which are my spirit animal, water and warm weather, because I love to swim and all those things and all the nice things you do in summer. It took me 9 years to get here because I went through the process of all the different things that had to unfold, but I'm now here. And I never been here, and I just said, I need to go there. So I'd sold eventually through the whole process and moving. And I guess I also was very strong, and this is not a negative thing, standing up for what my kids and I deserve in relation to proceedings with divorce and splitting assets and housing and everything like that. I was a little bit flexible, but I also stood my ground on a lot of it because I said, these are our children and they deserve to be looked after, regardless of whatever's happening and our issues and him crying wolf and what about me and all those sorts of things that come up in these messy situations. There was a lot of stuff that came up, but I stood my ground and I got what I needed, which was a house for security. I'd bought a house with them, the settlement, the kids were secure until I moved them up here. But that led me to make a profit, a big one, cleared all debt, bought a new car. I've never had one in all my 50 years. Well, yeah, 50 years, over 50 years. I've never had a new car. Bought a new caravan, or RV as you guys call it over America. And I drove it up here and I brought my kids up to here. Willingly, of course. I didn't drag them. And so, yeah, so that's shown me that I can do anything. If that's really what I want to do, then it's possible. So if you're in that heavy space and if you see no way out, you just got to trust one step at a time that it will unfold. It will get easier. Follow those steps or what your inner self is telling you, and you will get out. You will go where you want to go. We don't have a time frame because universe and you together create that time frame, but step by step you get there, and just believe that it will be okay. That's my thing for everybody, even the people that I work with now, because you're in the moment, you don't always see it, but if you feel something that's a positive, like it's a step forward, you just take that one step, and then that one step leads to the next step. Because we also really can't cope with too much at once, especially if we're in a state of loss and depletion and depression and everything. No, depression or anger, whatever those hard core feelings are, whatever they are for you, or even for me, it was more loss, just completely isolated or lost alone kind of feelings and heartbroken. The one step at a time. And that's why back then, me just getting on the treadmill for 5 minutes a day, me saying I can do it as an affirmation, no matter what I was talking about, were my stepping points to where I am now.
Wow. I have so many chills when you're sharing that story. That's so beautiful. And I think your advice around just one step at a time. And I think when we're going through a place of loss or a place of fear, and we want to see like all of it that's next, we want to like jump ahead to the success or to the body that we want or the relationship. We just want to like be there. But your advice to just that one step is all we need. And when you prayed to your angels and saw Harvey Bay, like that was the one step. I think that that's what people like to be mindful of, that that's just that one thing that will lead to the next. And the way you decide that is how it feels. And if we get excited and we feel that glimmer of hope from that, go towards that, then it's going to lead to the next thing and the next thing. That was so well explained and illustrated in your story. And if someone is going through loss right now, like maybe they just got divorced or that job loss or injury or something, what guidance would you give to them to keep going? Or what practices could help them to get through this time? What practices have you done for yourself to carry you through those difficult times?
Well, I guess a few things that I have done is to be grateful what I already have. Like back then in that difficult situation, it would be as simple as I got a roof over my head. I have 3 beautiful children. I have my house. Just some simple things, but they're major things as well. And so be very grateful and mindful of what's going well or what's working, because we have to see that glimmer of hope that we'll get through this. And that fear of the unknown, like all this, no matter what thing, the job, the relationship, the money, whatever, it's about the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen in a second. So we have to just see where we want to go, and just the bits in between are the bits that we really don't know. But if we know that's our destination, or feel that feeling of knowing that's where we want to go, then following that. The other thing that I felt is, that's the other thing I've started to do. I wrote it in one of the chapters in one of the books I wrote. I wrote about having fun, going back to, yes, I'm responsible. I'm raising 3 children basically on my own, even though there's a partner there. I need to get back into having fun with my kids and doing things instead of doing all the have to things. So I started doing fun things. I just, instead of hoping that he would join, as he never did. So I just started doing things that I could manage with my 3 kids and getting out and having fun, feeling grounded, like getting to the beach in the middle of winter and it's freezing cold. We go run around on the beach bare feet, be freezing cold. We might last half an hour, and then we go home. But it was so liberating, and we felt great. And that made me feel good. My kids were happy. I was happy, all that sort of stuff. So I started doing more fun things that were grounding, but also just fun, and in trying to lighten the load of everything that's going on around me or us, because even the kids talk about it sometimes today, and you just don't want that much impact. But it happens anyway, regardless of what we do as parents. My kids are very intuitive as well, so they really feel what I feel. Particularly my oldest feels everything I feel. So it's important just to have fun and do what feeds your soul. Like that's what I was doing, feeding my soul again, to be able to have the strength to be actually able to leave when the universe said, okay, time is now. And I had that strength back enough to get out and then build that up again further and further on the track. And the other thing I would do is also trying to do, well, actually 2 other things. One, I did a lot of journaling because I had no one to talk to. And even for me, talking about it is not my healing process. I tend to write, meditate, and I let things out. I don't really talk about my divorce and my situation because for me, it brings up a lot of negativity, and I'm just about being, yes, it hurt, it happened. I'm happy to talk to people about it if they want to know about it, if they want to share their story and support them 100%. I even do some of that too with what I do with work. But my essence is that there's a way for you to share it, whether or not it's your recordings or it's writing or just letting out the emotions, so that you let go of some of that negative stuff while you're building up the positive with the fun and the gratitude and the positive affirmations. I usually had a couple of positive affirmations like, I can do this, it'll be okay, we will be okay. Those sorts of things keep me on track and keep me as positive as possible, and knowing that I'm going to get through this and I'm going to get out. They're probably my main things that I think probably a little bit more self-care in the sense that like I was getting up at 5 a.m. because my kids were 5 a.m. kids. They got up early. I would get up a few minutes early, hopefully, and go on the treadmill. I've hired a treadmill because I couldn't go out walking necessarily at the time. So I would do that. And even if they woke up, I settled them. They were a bit old enough to put them in front of the TV just for 10 minutes. So I got 10 minutes of me time before I addressed it. And they got used to that rhythm and routine. So that became that I could come a bit longer, or they could come out and join me a bit later. But I was able to get a little bit of me time because I had none. Because I had children that didn't sleep. I have children with special needs. So for me to have me time was very difficult to find. So I would just find things like that to do. So that created that positive thinking for me. Yeah, just to build me up and strengthen me from where I was in a very dark, unhappy place. Yeah, and then that just helped me through.
Beautiful. Do you want to get paid to travel? Have you ever thought about hosting a retreat, sharing your story on stage, or writing a book? If so, you'll want to check out our Passion Project Retreat. Many of us have passions that we want to try someday, but never seem to get around to doing it. Come to our weekend retreat when we'll be clarifying the vision for your project, we'll break through any blocks to it being successful, and then we'll design a 90-day implementation plan to get it going. After the retreat, you'll have the opportunity to receive continued support and accountability as you roll out your passion project. To learn more, call or text Julie at 301-284-0789 or email her at julie@juliegetzinger.com. What is your book called and where can people find your book?
I have a couple of books and there's a couple here. I've done a few chapters in a few other books, but my main one for mums and women was called My Story. Oh, I can't see it from my screen. I'll have to share it with you.
I'll put a link in the show notes so people can find
it. Look, it's my thing was My Story, and I was about writing a piece for mums or women to just have a space to write, and it's just a positive. There's not much writing in it, but positive quotes in there to allow you to write rather than me always, like a lot of journals will, and this is where I don't like a lot of journals that give me lots of prompts because I want to just write what I feel and need to say or need to express or want to envision or manifest. So that's why I created this, to help women dream and hope and live that, to lift them up to be able to then do things that they want to do and make those choices. But my stories of my divorce and what happened, I've written chapters in a few different books that I've been a co-author of. And then I've also done it so there's 3 books and I've done a different perspective on all of them because it's so important. I feel like it's very important to empower women to do what they need to do for themselves, because as women and mums particularly, and if we've got special needs kids as well, it's even bigger for finding stuff because we can get bogged down in everything and then smothered. That's what I felt like. I was smothered by everything and all the demands and lack of support and everything, and finding our ways out of that. And there's some of the tools that I've just mentioned now are the ones that I use to be able to keep moving forward. And then also my own process of healing my own wounds from my own past, and like my mother-daughter, a hunger relationship. And I wrote a chapter in another book about that and did my own processing for that, because that's a massive part of why I am who I am today. The gifts that she gave me, but also the lessons that I had from the relationship that I had with her. And now in spirit, we have a fantastic relationship, loving and trusting. And I forgave her and myself for all the things that happened, etc. So all those parts are a part of the journey for you to recover from such loss and trauma, whether or not it's a relationship, whether or not it's work. It's all interrelated in lots of ways from your past and your belief systems and how you feel about yourself, really.
And why did you choose to share your story in books? So some people could say, you've been through trauma, like just get over it, just move on, don't talk about it. But you chose to write your stories and share it with the world. How did that help in your healing journey?
I think, one, I want to help people. That's my purpose, is to help others. And this was one tool that I could do that with. I was asked to write in 2 of these books, and I had never even thought of being an author. And I didn't even know. It took me quite a while to write one of them, which was for the suicide prevention, because at the time I was wanting to support teens and their parents and help them with their children, and the parents parent their children from a loving way and positive way and prevent suicide. And I was going to write about them. I thought, no, I'm meant to write about my story and how empowered I was from taking the courage and looking at the hope and self-discovery to help others. And then that led to the next thing and the next thing of me writing, because I'm here to help others. And if this is one tool, I can do that, empower. And then people can read them in their own space, in their own time, and allow themselves to heal and grow from reading that chapter and other chapters, or my journal, and writing things out. Because even in my process, I was doing a lot of reading and things like that about positive mindset and self-development. And I've always been into those things. So it was about discovery and rediscovering, and about myself and where I could go with this and what I could do with this, rather than staying in that state of victim and loss. How can I rise above that? And that's why on my little thing here behind me is the lotus, is rising above the murky, difficult mud, slush and crap, and then rise above it and big blossom and be a beautiful person that you are, and be free to do as you wish.
So beautiful. Ah, so many chills. And I love that reminder of beauty comes from darkness, comes from pain, comes from the muck. And like you said, that's exactly the lotus. And that's why you chose it as your symbol. And it's behind you as that reminder that none of it, no pain is in vain. None of it was for nothing. Things don't just happen to us. They're growing us and they're expanding us. And the fact that you've chosen to share your story with the world and to help heal through writing and through speaking, and for being that vision of somebody who is doing it and chose a path of bravery and to let go of what didn't feel right to you. I just commend you for doing that and being that reminder for women.
Look, and it's not easy. And it was really hard even to write initially in the books. And then I go, no, this needs to happen. If I can only help one person, it was like the teenagers, if I can save one life, then my purpose has been fulfilled. And when you've been through it, you know that it's possible, and that you know that you don't have to stay in that space just because. For me, it was a strict Catholic background. This is how life is meant to be. You can't divorce. You can't. And I thought, well, I'm always been a rule breaker anyway in different things, and I can't stay like this. I will not be a mother that I want to be for my children, nor am I it was just destroying. And I go, can't do this anymore. I'm going to have to be another rule breaker. And so that's what I did. And you just never know your life, who sees what you say, read in the books, who just even read a post, because I'm a lot on Facebook. That's my platform mostly, and in person meeting people. You just don't know. It's like we talk about, if you just smile at a person one day in the street, you don't know how much impact that means. Just being kind to someone else. You have no idea what people's stories are going on. And nobody knows my story. No one asked me. Julie asked me, but I've had a few interviews in recent years as well. So people are starting to hear and are wanting to listen. But I don't go out there and preach, this is what happened and this is how it. I just, again, trust the message will go to whoever it needs to go to. It'll lead where it needs to lead. And my main thing is that, and that's an act of self-love, is making that hard decisions for yourself to choose what feels really scary and unknown, and even I say terrifying, to going, there's hope. I need to do this for myself. And then if you've got children, for my children, or if you're in a job and you really are not happy, or you're getting sick all the time because you're not happy in your workplace, wherever you are that's feeling not good, leave it, get out of it, let it go. There will be something else. Even if you don't know where that something else is, do the one step at a time, and just doors will open once you've made that decision. This is the thing. We think there's no way out, but there is. It's just showing whoever, your God, your believer, your divine, your angels, whatever universe, whoever you believe in, it's the same thing for any of them. Once you show them the one, you're ready, you made that one decision, that one step forward, bit by bit, it just unfolds. And the next minute you look back and you go, oh, I'm here. This is where I got to. This is me for Hervey Bay. I envisioned that. I didn't know how I was going to get here. Never been here. Didn't even know I like it. But I kept being called to come here. I don't even know why I'm meant to come here, but I'm going to get there. And then I left it because then other things happened and there was an opportunity, and here I am. So that would be my message. You just got to trust that one step, that feeling that this is where I feel excited. Even just a glimpse, because I know when you're in that heavy state, you might just get that little spark, I often say ignite that little fire within you, that little spark, and you go, oh, and then you go, and then that's all you need to start, but follow that spark.
I think, that's such good advice too. And it's also equal parts scary and exciting. And I think that's how we know it's right, because if we don't know what's next, and we don't, when you have just the vision of Hervey Bay, the way you explain it, or maybe it's a vision of a relationship or a career or something, and there's that one step,
there can be a lot of fear comes as we step into that, because it is the unknown and we don't know how it's going to unfold. But something told us to go in that direction, and just taking that step and trusting. And I know in my experience, after I've done that, then there can be more sadness, more fear can come in, because it's like a death before rebirth, and letting go of who we thought we were, that old version of us that needs to die and fade away in order for the new to be reborn. But it's like you just got to hold on and ride the wave and see where it takes you. And your life won't be the same afterwards. And it's not meant to. And you want that expansion. We're here to expand and grow. And I think it's so interesting how the two of us got connected. Really, the way we first bonded was when I was going through divorce, and it was very fresh for me. And we were in a mastermind group together, and Pauline was instrumental in me moving forward and feeling like I could do it. And then you hired me as your coach, and I've learned just as much from you as you have from me. And I feel like we've been on the journey together, and we've both taught each other. And that's the power of coaching, is that when you coach others, you're not the like be all end all, like I know more than you know. It's a co-creation process. And it's really interesting how you came into my life when you did, and how here we both are in these different homes and single women raising our children, and the synchronicities. And I continue to learn from you and the way you live your life. And I'm just honored that I get to be a part of your journey. And it's like, you're just someone I know we're meant to stay connected with. And I'm so happy that we're sharing the story today in this way, and appreciate you for being open and being vulnerable and helping people the way that you do. Like you said, even with just the Facebook posts, like you don't know who you're going to impact and how that's going to affect people's lives for the better, but doing it because it feels right to do it, because you feel called to share. So I witnessed that in you, of that trust and sharing and helping to heal women far beyond than the impact you even know.
Then it's, even for me, it's down into the children, because if the mum, for example, if we're talking mum, or we are talking mum, then for me, it's important with children. I cannot stand seeing children unhappy, scared, the confidence that gets flattened, or there's no freedom of choice for a child. If I can help the mum, that in turn helps the kids. So I work with both, because there's usually things coming from the mum that's passed through, and it's about me too, changing the generations from what I was believed to do. Now how I raise my own children, so the opposite, even to my siblings, so the opposite, because I've been through what I've been through and learnt the lessons that I've learnt, and it's what I had was soul destroying, and I now do not want that for my own children or other children. So it's really important. And I think you were saying something about the points before, you were saying about just one person, one thing, and our connection. Again, the people that see this, they're meant to see this for whatever reason it is, to help them move on. They've already moved on to some degree. And every lesson, no, regardless if it's painful, is still a gift, even though we don't see it, particularly at the time or ever. Some people that I work here with at the moment with their children, a lot of them end up, a lot of them are DV, domestic violence, single parents going through really tough times, but then they can see what I'm doing and hope that helps them, because I'm tapping into, and my kids have been involved in volunteering in this arena to support women and their families going through hard times. Like whatever avenue this takes you to, whatever venue, we're all there supporting each other. And painful times, that's what I was going to say. It's not about it's doing it to you. Like Abraham Hicks often says, that it's happening for you, even if you don't see it. There's a reason behind it. Whether or not, for me, was a lot of to do with my past life experiences, but also my current life with my parents and my family that I'm in, and what lessons I learned from that goes out to your life where you are now and how you are now, to you then learning from that, to then, like you say, we're expanding and learning all the time. We've got things to heal and learn from, but also then things to be excited about and embrace, and have that choice and freedom to do things we want to do. So life is like that symbol of the yin and the yang. We've got a balance of both to feel whole and complete and blessed. And that's what life is. Like, we're going to have those challenges. You could wake up the next morning and something's happened. But if you're in a place of gratitude and embracing life and being positive, you can handle the difficult things so much better than coming from a place of heaviness and darkness. And for those that are currently in this heaviness right now, yes, it doesn't happen overnight. So don't be hard on yourself. It takes time. It's a process, but just allow some of the nice feelings and the nice positivity, and don't feel guilty that you have that, even if you're feeling certain things, especially if it's a loss of a loved one or something like that you didn't have control over, but you're allowed to be happy as well as feel the sadness and the loss, and blend it together a bit here and there and mix it up in your mixing pot. Like I'm thinking of a recipe of freedom and positivity and healthy, and you mix it up and you can get a bit of everything. But when you can, you focus on feeling all of that positive thing or to rise above all that. And yeah, to freedom.
Oh, so good, sister. I'm so happy you agreed to do this with me and to share your wisdom with our audience. And where can people stay in touch with you if they'd like to stay connected and be inspired by you? How can they be connected? Where's the best place to find you?
I'm going to say you're welcome. Love doing it with you. I love our connection. I won't go into more all that, but too much, but I feel very blessed and honored. Wow, just find me. And I'm Pauline Duncan on Facebook. That's just where I start off with. And then you can see a little bit of what I write about. You can also message me through Facebook Messenger. It's probably the easiest way for now.
Okay.
And then I can share around what you need to know from there.
Thank you so much for doing this with me. Thank you for being here. My heart feels so full and so happy and so grateful that we got to do this together and that I know you. Just grateful to know you.
I'm very honored and grateful to know you. And yeah, the world's an amazing place. I'm in Australia and the top of Australia, and you're over in America. So to me, it's my morning and your night, and still yet we connect. Beauty of the internet.
It's really amazing. Like here, between DC and Baltimore, and yeah, it's wild. Like, and I love saying, I'm an international coach, international author, international speaker, and it's because of you.
Yeah, I'll take that. But look, really, and nothing's in your way. Like here we are connected. There's nothing in your way.
Yeah.
You're free to go and do whatever. And look, and now I'm working at the moment here in the Bay. I've been brought here for lots of reasons. One was my healing process, but also the people that I'm connecting and helping now. I'm helping all these children and their families with their neurodivergent kids, which my background is some of that as well in my past as a teacher and special needs. But in that, then I can tap into other things to help support these guys on their journey. And as you know, as a coach, that's the beauty of the coach. We are healing ourselves. At the same time, we're supporting lots of different people, often in different realms. It could be people divorced, could be that job situation, could be a loss, could be, for me, it's often DV cases, it's children with special needs, but then it's on the other hand, it's just uplifting. And what we have, the main goal that we have as a coach, we want to uplift and support people. And in that turn, uplifts us and supports us as humans, because we are only human. And that's what I say. That's just why when people are really tough with children and things like that, I say they're not naughty. They have a heart and they're hurting and they're trying to show you something, and we need to stop and listen. And then that's also ourselves as women and mums and humans. We need to stop and listen to ourselves too. We could be doing something for a reason, and we need to find out and heal that part of our reason. Anyway, I could probably talk about this all day. But
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful, and I'll share your links in the description box below so people can stay in touch with you. Thank you.
You're welcome, my friend. Take care.
I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please consider liking it. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, go ahead and do that now. If you know of anybody else who could benefit from watching this video, share it with them too. And thanks for being here. I hope to see you soon. Bye.